and we are joined by one of those players right now. It is Will McEntire on halftime. Will, how you doing today? It's good to talk to you again. Been a while. Well, I guess a couple
Doing
weeks.
great.
Good. Well, let me see if you know where I'm sitting right now. I'm looking out at a field. There is a skyline past right field. I see a couple of bridges here. This is a place that you know very well. This is a place that you and I actually spent some time together years before, and a place that you might have pitched earlier this year. Where am I?
You got to be at Dickey Stevens.
That's exactly right. I'm at Dickey Stevens Park, which I know was a site of one of your great moments this year against UCA. What do you remember about this ballpark, though, when you were a kid and you were coming here with your father, Madison, working for the Travelers as a datacaster or an official scorer? What do you remember about coming here as a kid and what that might have done to spark your love of the sport?
I just mainly remember getting to spend an entire summer watching one of the greatest baseball players alive right now, which was Mike Trout, and never being smart enough to get a photograph. Got plenty of signed baseballs, never got a photograph.
You and me both, Will. I mean, I was the radio guy for the team that year. I'm in the team photo, so that's my photo of me and Trout. I didn't even get an autograph, so you were ahead of me, man.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool watching him that year. That really was. You know, and it was really cool watching you this year too. You had a story that I think to me feels unique. And you could split it into two halves. You know, really, a lot of people split seasons into two halves, but there was one half where you didn't play, you didn't pitch at all, and injury wasn't part of it. The second half, you became, you know, you worked your way into the rotation and everything, and then at the end of the year, I mean, you were starting and winning games in the College World Series. Does it feel like this really happened these past few months for you, or does it feel a little bit like a fantasy?
It feels like a dream. Those last 2 months of the season kind of just flew by, and it was a whirlwind, and everything just happened really, really fast.
What was your mindset coming into the 2022 season? You'd redshirted the year before. It looked like you might have been working your way into the plans for 2020, you know, with your last outing against Grand Canyon, and then everything gets taken away, and you didn't get on the field in 21. So getting into 2022, what was your mindset? What were you hoping for? And then what were the first couple of months like?
I really just wanted to just find a spot, find a role to help the team win, and it didn't happen right away, and I was just waiting for my shot. Didn't want to be a selfish individual and just being a good teammate, rooting for the guys, and finally got my chance, and I feel like I capitalized on it pretty well, and it kept just growing and growing, and I feel like I proved to the coaches I can go out there and just help them win, and it's really all it is.
But it also took, like you say, you're waiting for your chance. It feels like you really had to advocate for that chance, which I'm not sure if a lot of players really have to do. And in some cases, you know, when you go to talk to the coach, and this has been covered, you know, a conversation with Matt Hobbs, where you said you felt like you really weren't getting an opportunity. Like, I could imagine that had to have been a bit of a nervous moment leading into it, you know, to tell your coach, you're not giving me the chance that I feel I deserve. Do you remember feeling nervous going into that conversation?
Oh, it was nerve-wracking. I've been taught my whole life to, like, not bother coaches about playing time. You'll get it eventually, or if you're good enough, you'll prove it to them. And it was actually, like, one of the most nerve-wracking conversations I've had since I've been up here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I definitely can understand that. I think that most people can, especially when you play for a guy like Dave Van Horn, a guy who has a proven track record of knowing what he's doing. And one thing that we've speculated, I think every Razorback fan has speculated on throughout this season, especially now that we've had time to really reflect and look back on a great season that y'all had, was what flipped the switch after Hoover? You know, you have the bad end of the regular season in Tuscaloosa. You go 0-2 in Hoover. So many people have different ideas, but now that we actually have the opportunity to ask you, you know, personally, what was it that changed in that locker room, and kind of what made y'all kind of flip that switch?
I really think it was just a mix of there's a bunch of guys who've never been to Omaha who wanted to get there, and there's quite a few guys who've been there, and it was probably their last year here that we need to get them there one more time, like Cole Ramage and Zebulon Vermillion. They've been there twice, and we knew it was their last year because they were out of eligibility, and we just wanted to get them there one more time. And for guys like Caden, who for them are going to probably get drafted this year, that we needed to get them there one more time. So I think the team just came together, and we just wanted to fight for each other, and our backs are against the wall, 2 losses and you're out, and, you just have to fight as a group if you want to get somewhere, and I think we accomplished our goal to get there.
Mm-hmm. Now, for you personally, what was your favorite moment? Because I think, looking back, you had a lot of very impressive performances throughout the postseason, especially in Omaha. When you look back at this season, in a couple years, reminiscing about your time at the University of Arkansas, is there a moment from this postseason that's really going to stick out and that you're going to look kind of more fondly on than maybe another?
For sure. To me, the best moment of this season was Zach Morris coming in against Ole Miss with bases loaded and getting out of that. There is no reason that I feel like somebody should get out of that with no outs, and he just went up there and did it, and it was just incredible to watch from the dugout.
Especially from, a couple of days before where Zach got the start and couldn't get out of the first inning. I loved the symmetry of that. Couldn't get out of the first inning 2 days before, same team, and then finishes them off with a pitcher's nightmare in the ninth inning. I loved it.
Just big-time redemption right there.
Yeah, it really was. Well, I mean, it would be an obvious thing, I think, to ask about your big moment, which was the College World Series win against Auburn. But what about there are moments where it feels like rubber meets road, and I always say the start of the SEC season is where rubber meets road in baseball. Like, you got to take what happens in the first month of non-conference, be like, all right, none of that matters too much right now because it's all about SEC. Your SEC debut, when you come in against Auburn in the rubber game, and you're facing, some of the best, in fact, one of the best hitters in the country, if not the best, in Sonny DeShara. I felt that was the moment that you'd already emerged a little bit, but you got to do it in the SEC, right? That was the big moment, I think, for you this year.
Yeah, I think that was a big confidence builder. I'd proven to myself I can do it in these midweek games and non-conference games, but as soon as I went out there against Auburn and face like real SEC hitting for the first time, that's not my own teammates, it was really proving to myself that I can play in this league and I can go out there and get the job done.
Well, we've talked a lot about today before you came on about transfers and about kind of the turnover on this team, and I asked Phil with him being around the program as much as he is, and I want to ask you, being in the actual program, how is the transition for new guys coming in? Has it been pretty easy of a gel work for a lot of the transfers or incoming freshmen? Or is Dave Van Horn's program and just kind of the routine that it is at Arkansas different from other programs take guys to kind of learn and figure out? Or is it pretty easy to gel into what y'all have going on in that locker room?
I'd say it's pretty easy to gel. Me coming into my freshman year, it's an adjustment coming from playing with high school guys, and you go from being the oldest on the team to being the youngest on the team. But there's a learning curve, I'd say, of a week or so, and you know your role and like the totem pole in the locker room. And for transfers, I wouldn't say it's that big of a difference. They go from playing in college for however long they're at their other school, and they come into this locker room, and it's just all about the team molding together and coming together and having chemistry.
Well, what about so like you're one of the veterans now, man. I mean, you look, there's 13 incoming transfers. There's 16 freshmen on the class, and of course we'll see what happens when it comes to the draft and everything, but like you're one of the veterans. You're one of the guys that like displays, I think, to the incoming players how they're supposed to go about their business. How does that make you feel?
Leadership, that's a tough role to take on, but it's a role I'm ready to take on and just help lead the team to where it needs to be.
Pitching is the thing that's like, we have question marks about the lineup and about position players just because it's a whole new group of incoming players. There's a lot of returning pitchers. And a lot of them, you're going to be battling for spots in the rotation. You don't just get the rotation spot because you finished the year winning a game in Omaha. There's other pitchers that are really talented and that are gunning for it too. So how do you feel about like the competition for starting pitching on the weekends this next year and where you fit into it?
I'm excited. Competition just breeds excellence, and you have 5-6 guys competing for 3 spots. There'll be a lot of competition going on, and the better the competition, the better everybody gets. And if you don't get the role you want, you need to just do what the team needs you to do to help win, and hopefully, maybe later on down the road during the season, you can get the shot at that role that you want.
2 things. What's your final plan for the summer, and what do you need to work on most going into next year?
The summer, I'm staying up in Fayetteville, just working out and hanging out with friends up here. And my biggest goal is just hopefully, add some velocity and get in the best shape possible.
Now, Will, last thing for me, baseball is one of the quirkiest, most superstitious sports, and one of the most superstitious position out of all baseball, I like to think, is the pitcher. Do you have superstitions? Do you have things that you do out there that are subtle, that maybe people don't pick up on, but are very important to your routine?
For me, it's obvious, never touch the line, and for me, it's just between innings. It's not a superstition. It's just my biggest routine, and I have like a routine for the entire inning. I'm in the dugout waiting to go back out there to pitch.
تhank you for calling it the line and not using the forbidden F word there. Yeah, Will, what about your dad and I know each other well, obviously. And, Madison, your dad, Chrissy, your mom. Your father's a well-known Cubs fan. Now, you've grown up in Arkansas. Did you have the Cubs? You and I have not talked about this before. Have you have the Cubs forced on you by Madison, or do you have another team that's actually worth rooting for?
I think I let them down. I wouldn't consider myself a Cubs fan. I'll root for them if they're in the playoffs just for him, but I honestly consider myself an Angels fan just because I've grown up with Dickie Stevens, and I've watched all those guys like C.J. Crone, Trout, a bunch of other guys just come up through that system, and it's cool watching them go from there all the way up to the majors.
Yeah, that's how I became an Angels fan, too, but I've kind of given up on it a little bit. That's what happens when you live in a minor league city. Every once in a while, you end up rooting for the major league affiliate. Real
quick, Will, any chance you might be the next Shohei since you're an Angels guy? What do you like with a bat in your hand?
Prefer a golf club.
Answered like a true pitcher. Like a true pitcher. Hey, Will, enjoy the meet and greet today. You ready to grip and rip and smile and sign autographs? You've been practicing the autograph?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I miss seeing our fans, so it'll be fun to see them.
Partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's Wimbledon Finals, Major League Baseball, the latest fighting news, and even next season's early NFL futures. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV. That's BLEAV to get the bonus and get into the action. Bet online, where the game starts.